Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm Bob Mendelsohn, and this is the Bob's Your Uncle podcast. Today I want you to meet my friend Rob Wilds from Nashville, Tennessee, originally from Texas, an actor, a professor, someone who really loves people and wants everyone to enjoy life. Stay tuned, you'll enjoy him. You can now comment to us right there wherever you get your podcasts, or you can write to us on email. I want to hear what matters to you, what's bothering you, what's triggering your joy. Let's see where the Spirit leads us. Wherever you are just now, whether you're out for your evening constitutional, or you're here in Australia, or back in the United States with friends, or all by yourself with your headset on, hey, wherever you are, today we're going to go a couple minutes longer than the usual 18 minutes. You'll love this interview. Stay tuned. Of note, the opinions are strictly my own and those of my guests.
But I do know that I love you, and I know that if you love me too, what a wonderful world this would be.
On the 3rd of September in 1609, English navigator Henry Hudson, in a quest for a passage to India on behalf of the Dutch East India Company, sailed into the harbor of present-day New York City and up the river that now bears his name. In 1976, after a nearly year-long journey, NASA's robotic spacecraft Viking 2 landed on Mars and began relaying information back. In 1991, American director Frank Capra, best known for a series of beloved films, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington and It's a Wonderful Life, died at age 94. In 1894, Labor Day was celebrated as a legal holiday in the United States for the first time, and that's the historical marker of the week.
I know that if you love me too, what a wonderful world this would be.
Oh, well, you get what you get and don't pitch a fit, like they say.
Rob Wilds, I'm so happy that you've joined me on the Bob's Your Uncle podcast today. It is, we've known each other for many years in Nashville, but neither you nor I was born in Nashville. You're a Texan by birth.
Right.
What? Well, tell me about life as a young man when you grew up in Texas. What part of Texas were you?
Well, first, Bob, I didn't know I had an uncle. Can I borrow some money from you? Since
Yes,
you're my
sir.
uncle,
That's
Bob's
all.
my uncle.
That's
Uh, I grew up I was born in a town sort of close to Austin, which is middle Tennessee, middle Texas. And it was a town called Temple. It's grown into a big hospital place these days. There's lots of hospitals there. But and it was what was it like? Well, completely different from what's going on today. Although, teenagers still had problems back then. They still got them, but not so bad as the kids today. Let's see. Well, we went to school, and if you're in Texas and you're kind of semi-big like I am, you're going to wind up on the football team, whether you want to be there or not. And so I wasn't a very good football player. In fact, I was kind of lucky when I kind of blew up my knee, and I got to quit the football team. It was really a pretty good deal for me. My mom didn't work outside the home. Dad was a salesman, And I have a sister and brother.
Sure, that's exactly the same five we had in our family.
Oh,
Uh,
really? Yeah.
was it like Leave It to Beaver? Was it like the Andy Griffith Show? Did you feel when you watched those black and white sitcoms of the 50s and 60s, was that your family as well?
Uh, I wouldn't. I wouldn't say so. My mom was she was kind of a narcissist and kind of ruled the roost. And dad, frankly, would he drank quite a lot, and so uh, it, unless you're talking about Otis in the Andy Griffith Show, it really wasn't wasn't much like Andy Griffith. We lived in a outside of the town itself on a little farm, 100 acres, and my sister would go off to school. My brother didn't come along till later. My dad would be gone, so it was just me and my mom there when I was a little kid. And so she used to terrify me, with stuff she'd say and do. But so I, I think a lot of what happened to me or what I did later on in life was kind of to gain her attention. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that often is the case. And now you went off to college yourself
I did. Yeah.
there in Texas, was it?
Yeah. At the University of Texas in Austin.
Hook 'em horns.
Exactly right. Yeah. Good thing you said that, Bob. So, so and it's a huge school now. I don't know how many students, but back when I went, it had 40,000, and that was a lot for a college back in their days. Football was, and probably still is, the event in a lot of small towns in Texas. Basketball, not so much. Track, we don't care. But football, when football rolls around,
What was it that got you so involved in movies and acting yourself? I mean, you're an actor.
well, I when I was a little kid on the farm, we it was before television. I mean, television existed, but not in rural Texas. And so my mom had records and she'd play them and stuff. But then TV arrived, and my dad, uh, he was a Texas A&M graduate, and he bought a television set just so he could watch the Texas A&M University of Texas football game. And so I thought, gosh, that is those people on TV have much more fun than I do here by myself on the farm. So I came to think of that as a way to escape a little bit. The show, as I say, we'd have friends come over to watch our TV because they didn't have one, and then so they'd come in and watch, and it sort of took over. Television did
Mm.
when it came in, especially I'm just from where I live, and so it was like almost like having a friend or a storyteller, in the house, so you weren't by yourself.
What was your first break in in movies?
After I blew up my knee in football, the speech teacher, they were doing a play, Peter Pan. Okay. And I was hobbling around the school. And she said, "We need pirates, and you can hobble. You can be a hobbling pirate." So, and I did that play, and gosh, it felt good because there were people there I was meeting and talking to, and I wasn't alone. And so and honestly, there in the theater, the ratio of straight men to women greatly favors straight men. And so I found it easy to find female companionship. And so that was my reason for, I did a lot of stage plays before I got into the movies. So, yeah, first movie I ever did. Well, I did one in Austin. Can't remember what it was called now. Um, and then I think I started doing commercials first, and then would eventually do some films. I didn't often. I didn't have time to enjoy it. I just wanted to get to the next one. That was me. I have to climb the hill.
And
Yeah, and oh,
I
sorry,
like
go
that
ahead.
comment you have that straight men to ladies, you had a high, it gave you opportunity to meet women.
It did.
Is that
Did.
where you met your wife?
Actually, yes. Let me think. Yes, one of them, one of my wives I met in the theater, but that was much later on. And yeah, we hit it off, and um, she was delightful. But yeah, uh, I was looking for, I don't know what I was looking, but I was always looking for something else, something better and brighter and stuff.
How'd you get from Texas to Tennessee?
I moved to California first. My wife and I went to California. She went to work at the Los Angeles Times, and I was working at the University of Southern California as a PR guy. And we lived there for about 4 years. And during that time, we actually got divorced. And I was I decided that I would like to be in television, like news. So you couldn't start in Los Angeles. So I got a job in Arkansas. Stay with me. This is long, but I'm getting to a point. And, and so I went to Arkansas, worked for a while, came back to Texas, worked for a while. And again, you got to go to a bigger city to make a mark, in television news. And so I got hired to go to Knoxville. Now, I had never been in Tennessee or Knoxville either, but I took the job, and I liked Tennessee. And I moved to Nashville to work on a TV program here. And I've lived in Nashville for quite like 30 years or so. So it's more like home than any place I've ever lived.
Rob, you've lived in Austin and in Nashville, both capitals of their state. You don't have an interest in politics, do you? In fact, what what's your impression of politics or politicians just now?
The people I met, the politicians, they were just mad as a hatter, most of them, egotistical. And I had one guy who was my client, was running for the state legislature, I think, and he said, "Okay, we're going to get pictures, and I want to." What did he say? I want to be sure that my belt is in the picture because I want people to know I can put my belt on straight. But yeah, it was, well, I think you have to be a, quite egotistical to be in politics. I mean, you
Yeah.
have to put yourself out there, and you have to be a true believer, or either that or just a charlatan, one or the other, or both, maybe.
Rob, do you have hope for our country to be civil again, to represent
Oh
uh,
man,
what did Bush call it? A kinder and gentler country?
yeah, I believe he did say that. Yeah. Here in my later years, I'm teaching college classes. I hope that people will, when the young people get a little older, that they will. Um, we talk a lot about being kinder and gentler. The younger generation. We got to feed everybody and all that kind of stuff. Okay, well, let's do it then. So I hope so. I do have hope, I guess.
You're a generous man. You're teaching people. That's another step in a long career. And you're giving to people. That's how hope works, I think, is we have it and we pass it on. And
Yeah.
hopefully people buy into it.
Yeah. Well, I think I can thank my last best wife. She was not my. She used to say of me, "He's not my first husband, but he's my best husband." And she was a Southern Baptist Christian woman, and I was like, godless heathen. And so she required me to go to church, and I didn't. But after I did go with her, and she finally died of breast cancer. And ever since I started knowing her, particularly after she died, I'm going to church all the time. I don't know what that means, but and I really like it, listening to the guy the pastor, and people there and the music and everything.
You had your own battle with cancer a couple of years ago. How did they discover that, and are you in remission?
I was just sitting home watching television, and I was started scratching myself, and I felt a little lump. And so I thought, that's probably nothing, but I'll go get it checked. So I went to get it checked, and the young lady who checked it said, it's probably just fat, but we're going to take these pictures and look. So the thing that saved me really was that it was very early when it was found, and they got me right in there, and the doctor was great. He came in to me and said, look, this is exactly the kind of cancer we can cure. So, we can't promise we'll cure it, but this is it. It's early days and small, and it's contained and all that kind of stuff. So they gave me the treatments, and I hate those peak treatments. Really stink. It's hard, but it wore me out. It's cancer, but I've been in remission for 3 years now, and so the doctor, the last time I went, said, "Well, we'll see you in a year." Said basically, it's a gift from God. I don't know what else to say about it.
I love our times together, Rob, and I appreciate your time today to sit with me.
But I feel like, especially when I went through the cancer and all that kind of stuff, I feel like I've kind of got a chance to do better. So that's what I'm trying to do. And I would hope that people would just look around and say, well, what can I do today to make things just a little better? Can't save the world, but we can save, that thing, whatever. So I'm not claiming to be some kind of savior or anything like that. But honestly, when I sort of help other people, or it makes me feel better.
And so I'm really grateful for our times together, Rob, and I wish you continued success at university, in acting, and in all our times together. And when I get back to Tennessee, we'll see how our lives can continue to make other people's lives better. That would be my hope.
Well, that'd be great, Bob.
Thanks so much.
Always good to see you, my friend.
Thank you. Every week on the podcast, we read from the #1 bestseller of all times, the Bible, and today is no different. From the book of Romans, chapter 15, may the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace in believing, so that by the power of the Holy Spirit you may abound in hope. What do you think about all this? Why don't you write me at an email, bobmendo@aol.com. I'd love to hear your comments. Thanks. Until next week then, when things seem bleak or uncertain, look up to God. He's in his heaven, and Bob's your uncle. Shalom from Sydney.